Good afternoon. My name is Don Newman. I'm the manager of the Small Business Advocacy Unit within the Business Action Center. And welcome to the sixth in our series of virtual webinars. That's a little redundant, isn't it? Virtual webinars. Talking about the resources that are available to businesses, primarily small businesses. I'm going to point out one little feature. If you notice on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a little icon. That's to remind me to tell you about a new feature that I will talk about at the end, but it's our live chat. So now when you have a question about your business, you don't have to call us. You don't have to send us an email. You can go on to business.nj.gov, click on that little icon that you'll see on that screen, and you'll be talking directly with a member of my team at the Business Action Center to answer your business questions. And I'll get into a little bit more detail in a moment on that. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about who the Business Action Center is. So on the next slide, you'll see that we have three primary units that provide resources to the business community. Our Office of Business Advocacy is they work with projects. They work with businesses that are either coming to New Jersey or that are looking to relocate or build a building, and they can help you with finding a new site, what kind of regulatory issues you have to deal with about that site, and all of the other sort of processes to work on to complete your project. So that's kind of the way they work, is on projects. I'm going to skip the small business advocacy right now because that's me. I'll talk about myself last. But the Office of Export Promotion is a unit within our department that helps businesses become exporters. They do that by a variety of ways, by helping you create a plan for becoming an exporter, identifying export markets for your particular product. And what they also can do is help you financially through a grant program called the State Trade Expansion Program, or STEP. And they will assist you in paying for registration fees for you to go to a trade show or on a trade mission. So if you want to, what's unique about this year's program is that we will fund participation in virtual trade shows. So if you want to have a table at a virtual trade show, or you want to go to someplace in Europe or South America, or at the Jacob Javits Center in New York to promote exports, we can help you with that. Small business advocacy, we're a little different than the business advocacy in that we work with businesses on their unique needs that small businesses have that are different than some of the larger or medium-sized businesses. So that may be finding technical assistance or financing questions or regulatory questions. So that's kind of the difference between the small business advocate and a business advocate, are the specific needs that a business is looking for. On my next slide, one way to think about us is as a connector. So we help connect you with the financial resources from whether it be the SBA, the EDA, there's CDFIs, which is Community Development Financial Institutions. And if you're interested in some of that information, one of our previous webinars was on financial assistance programs. Also, the same thing with technical assistance. We can help you connect with the technical assistance programs. One of our previous webinars were on that, and those are both, and I'll talk about this later, but they're both available for you to view now. And then we can talk to you about what some of your COVID responsibilities or your new employee responsibilities that you may have. And then on the next slide, this just gives you an example of some of the agencies that we will connect you with to help you, whether it be the Treasury Department, Labor and Workforce Development, Community Affairs, and so on. That's where we may not have all the answers, but what we do is we know where for you to go to get them. So we'll help you get the answers you need, no matter what department or non-governmental agency is the one that can provide you with those answers. And then on the next slide, we'll get into today's event. So you have a, this is, like I said before, the sixth of our virtual series, the sixth and last. These are the lesser known resources. And, one of the speakers that I don't have today that I wanted to mention is the BPU, the Board of Public Utilities. And they were not able to join us today, but I just saw a commercial for their program the other night. So I decided I better talk about it, because maybe you're seeing those commercials as well. If you're a small business, you're a big energy user, the BPU can send someone in to do an audit of your business to see whether or not you use energy efficiently for a similar type of business and a similar footprint. And if you don't, they may be able to make recommendations for upgrades in your equipment that will improve your energy usage, lower your costs, improve your carbon footprint, and most importantly, will help pay for it. So if you're interested in that program, reach back out to me and I will make sure you get put into contact with some of the people that can talk to you in more depth in that program. But our first speaker today is going to be James Simmons. James is a business development representative from the Urban Enterprise Zone program, also known as UEZ, and that's within the Department of Community Affairs. James has been working with the UEZ program for many years. The UEZ program was enacted in 1983. It fosters the economic climate that revitalizes designated urban communities and stimulates their growth by encouraging business to develop and create private sector jobs through public and private investment. So it is primarily a job creation program. James has worked tirelessly with economic development in the DCA for over 18 years and is actually an old colleague of ours from the Economic Development Authority. Excuse me, not the Economic Development Authority, the New Jersey Commerce and Economic Growth Authority. But beginning with he started out as the Brownfields coordinator for DCA and now works with the UEZ program, providing guidance and technical assistance to businesses. So with that, I introduce to you James Simmons.
Well, hello, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to be able to talk with you virtually. For quite some time, we have had little to no contact at all. So technology, it really has had the ability to step in and to step up. But I'm a firm believer that there still is nothing like that face-to-face contact that you can have with a colleague or with someone that's in need. But thank goodness we found a way to find a means to be able to communicate and communicate effectively. I'm so grateful and thankful. Thank you, Don and Steve and everyone else over with your area, your department, for creating this opportunity and for wanting to get me out the way real quick by doing me first. Don and I have known each other a number of years. We've done so many of these things together that it's old hat. So, I don't know if I have any new material. I was laughing because I said, when I was told 10 minutes, the Baptist preacher in me came out and said, okay, just 10 minutes, huh? But I have a stopwatch going because I want to make sure that I'm diligent, that I'm on time. I'm hoping to be done in 5 or 6 minutes, to be honest with you. Don covered a lot of the things that in his overview and his introduction of the Urban Enterprise Zone program. What we want to do is let you know there are opportunities, economic opportunities that are available to so many people that may not be aware that these things exist. The UEZ, the Urban Enterprise Zone program, works out of designated cities. Currently, there are 37 cities throughout the state of New Jersey that qualify to be an urban enterprise zone. There are 32 zones. Most of our larger urban centers fit that criteria. And if there are questions about whether your area qualifies or not, please feel free to get in contact with me offline. What I want to do now is just say my name again. My name is James D. Simmons, and I'm the State Business Development Rep for the Urban Enterprise Zone program. My phone number, my direct dial number at the work location is 609-826-4735. That number again, 609-826-4735. I believe my email information is included in the the information that's been provided. But please feel free to give me a call if there's any questions or inquiries about the program. One of the things I can share is that the program, as Don said, has been around since 1983. Started off with 10 cities. It's increased to 37, and there's legislation that's in place currently that's being reviewed and about to be voted on that could possibly even double that number of cities. So if your town or municipality is not currently in the UEZ, that doesn't mean that they may not be under consideration. So there's some exciting things. This program is a jobs program, even though it's known by most as a tax program, because if you drive along the highway for Jerseyans, if you drive along the New Jersey Turnpike and you drive past IKEA, you may see a sign along the highway that says half the sales tax is what's offered. Retailers that qualify in the program have the ability as an incentive to charge half the retail sales tax rate for their businesses as an incentive. Other incentives that are tax exemptions where you pay no tax at all is if you are doing building construction on your materials, you don't pay tax. If you are populating your business, a new phone system, a new computer system, new furnishings, developers take advantage of this all the time that are retaining their properties. You don't pay tax on those items. When your supplies and your materials that are a part of your business that you pay during the course of the year, whether you're going to Office Depot or Staples or wherever you may go, you don't have to pay tax on those items. Your accountants will love this. And what the expectation and the thought is by these incentives being given to qualified businesses in the program, that it will incent growth and development and the hiring of individuals. So it's a program I'd love to be able to give you more information about. We would love to share information with you about it. The one big sticking point is you have to be a urban enterprise zone city in order to take advantage, and you have to be within the zone boundaries. Currently, the program is not in place for virtual businesses. As we said earlier, it's considered a jobs program. So in order to have jobs, you couldn't just deal from a virtual perspective. But what we do on a day-to-day basis is we deal with businesses making the transition from the virtual, working from home, as the business grows and opportunities present themselves, to getting them linked up in their municipalities with locations that may have been large at one time. You may have had an entity, a business that's been around for 30 years, and maybe they have 10,000 square feet of space, and they don't need that space anymore. What we quite often have the ability to do is to partner entities together and to say, hey, this party needs a space. Why don't you guys partner up together and give them 2,000 square feet, and they'll pay you rent for that, and now they have a presence where they can hire. We do that, and the coordinators in the individual cities, being the state business development rep, the coordinators throughout the state report to me, and we deal with business development training and also just sharing advice, what works in one area versus another. And I travel around pre-COVID, I would travel around every 45 days or so to those locations so that we can share success stories of what works in given areas. The UEZ is a diverse environment. We go from towns that are as small as a few thousand people that have had only 8 businesses in it, to a thriving area such as your Newarks, your Elizabeths, your Pattersons, your Vinelands that may have 600 and 700 businesses. And with this new increase that's going on, the opportunities as a result of COVID, the state realizes that the UEZ program has been a foundational program from everything from transit villages to opportunity zones. You don't see any legislation or any of those new designations that come out without it having some association with the urban enterprise zone program. So what I say to you right now is I'm about to come to a close, and this would have me at about 7 minutes. Remember this, Don, is this. If you believe that there may be something in the Urban Enterprise Zone program that may be of a benefit to you, please feel free to reach out to us. We are available, we are here, and we're looking forward to be able to provide assistance as we can to you. I thank you very much for your time and look forward to speaking to you in the near future. Take care.
Thank you very much, James. And you know, I'd like to also add, you want to open a second location? Consider an urban enterprise zone for your second location because of the advantages that James has already outlined. I want to clean up a couple of things I forgot to mention, and that is we are going to save a little bit of time at the end for questions, but we're going to ask you, as I'm sure those of you that have participated in webinars in the past have done before, There's a Q&A button as well as a chat button at the bottom of the page. Please link on that and use that platform to ask your questions. Ironically, I also want to mention that I spoke a little bit about the New Jersey Clean Energy Program, the BPU program, earlier, and it turns out we have a representative from TRC, who is one of the vendors that works with the BPU on that program, and he has kindly allowed us to post his information in the chat. So if you are interested in getting some information on that program, his contact information is there. So please feel free to submit your questions. We'll try to get it to as many of them at the end as we can. But you'll also have our contact information if we are unable to get to your question. Our next speaker is one of the more unusual organizations that people don't think about when it comes to business development and the resources available to small businesses. But I always include them because they really are a very valuable resource. So I'm going to introduce to you in a second Andrea Lewandowski, who is the Library Consultant for Small Business Development and Technology from the New Jersey State Library. So Andrea provides information about resources available for business owners and entrepreneurs at their local libraries for the New Jersey State Library. The State Library envisions a future in which all New Jerseyans have access to exceptional library services and to the information resources they provide to achieve their personal, educational, and professional goals. I don't want to steal a line from her, but it's not just about reading to your, having a reading for your kids on a Saturday morning. There are really some excellent resources available to you at your public library. So as a library consultant for small business development and technology, Andrea consults with libraries across the state and build their capacity in the areas of economic development, workforce development, and technology. Through those local libraries, business owners and entrepreneurs can access a wealth of information. If you haven't been to your library in a while, it's time to go and get your library card. And I'm sure Andrea is going to encourage you along those same lines. So Andrea, take it away.
Thank you so much, Don. So as Don said, my name is Andrea Lewandowski, and I'm the Library Consultant for Small Business Development and Technology at the New Jersey State Library. You may not know that New Jersey has a state library, and that's okay. The important thing is that the state library supports all of the public libraries in New Jersey by providing them access to certain resources and support to help them build their capacity. So by using your local public library, we're working behind the scenes, and that's totally fine. But I hope that if you get anything out of what I'm going to tell you today, it's just to take another look at your library, go to their website, and see what is available to you, because you might be surprised that libraries actually have been prioritizing economic development, helping job seekers, helping business owners and entrepreneurs. And one of the great parts of my job is being able to speak to people like you and share the amazing work that New Jersey public libraries are doing and encourage you to make use of that information. So next slide. The first thing I want to reassure you is that libraries are open. There may be different levels of access to physical sites, and some things like library programs may not be happening in person, they might be virtual, but library staff are available and eager to assist you. And on the next slide, you can see that there may even be a section on your local library's website that has information pulled together specifically for business owners. So unfortunately, I can't speak on behalf of every single public library in the state. There are over 400 individual library locations. And so the wonderful thing about that is library services can be hyper local and hyper focused on the needs of their communities. But it does make it very hard for someone like me to be able to answer questions about a very specific library if I don't happen to be familiar with it. So this is some of what I know is out there, although certainly not representative of everything that every library has pulled together on their website for business owners. But I always encourage people to go to their local library website for a couple reasons. And one is to reassure you that you have access to information and services and resources 24/7 through that library's website. If you can't find something, then you can just ask, especially now during the pandemic and reimagining what library services mean. There are even more ways to reach out. So call, email, chat, social media. It doesn't matter how you get in touch or if you can get into the physical building, there will be someone who can answer your questions. And if you're having a hard time connecting for some reason, my contact information is at the end, and I'm happy to help make an introduction or point you in the right direction. But as Don said, the first step for making use of the services and resources at your local library is to get your library card. So that proves that you have the authority, the access to the system. You might need to use the number on the back of the card to go into some of the resources that I'm going to talk about. But that library card is your key. In many cases, because of the pandemic, libraries have also expanded how to get a library card. So you may not even have to go into the physical building right away to prove your residency. You may be able to do it online or get temporary access. So talk to your local library to find out more about that. And next, I'm going to cover 3 main buckets of what libraries offer to business owners and entrepreneurs. So I like to say that you have the resources, so all the databases and information, virtual events and programs, and then community partnerships. So this first slide is to discuss some of those resources. And these are available to anyone who has a library card in New Jersey. So your local public library card, this is how you get in. But you may have access to more through your local public library, but never less than what you would see listed on a website called jerseyclicks.org. So you can go to jerseyclicks.org to see the full list. I've pulled out some logos here that are the ones that are specifically business or workforce development focused. But I strongly recommend that you visit your local library website because they will have these, but they may also have more specific resources for business owners. The New Jersey State Library pays for these and more than what's listed here. So just to cover briefly what the logos that I've pulled out, Job and Career Accelerator is for developing a career path and assistance with creating resumes, among other career topics. Rosetta Stone is for learning a new language, which may be useful if your business is going to be working with international clients, or just to learn another language might be beneficial. And then among the resources for small businesses are Regional Business News, Business Source Elite, and Small Business Reference Center. They include articles from trade publications, local business publications like NJ Biz, industry overviews, ebooks about management topics, accounting, and more. So if you go into those resources, you can check them out, see what things you have access to that might help to give you background information for decisions you're going to make, new industries, or see what your competitors are doing. And then I'm going to, in the next slide, go into a little bit more detail about our most popular database for business owners, which is Reference Solutions. You may have used this before under its previous name, Reference USA. They changed names last year. And this one includes information about businesses, and as well as it has a consumer lifestyle search. So it's great for finding out or making prospect lists, finding out who new opportunities are for expanding markets. So you can get a list of business prospects or competitors. It also includes ways to search businesses, so you can develop a list or spreadsheet based on things like NAICS or SIC codes, numbers of years in business, where they're located, number of employees. And it also has, in addition to some financial information about companies, it has estimates, modeled estimates of their expenditures in certain key areas like advertising, benefits, other things like that. So if you're looking to do business-to-business research for your client list, it's a really great tool. You can also search by map if you want to hone in on a certain geographic area and play with the information that way. And all of the information is drawn from public records, but then it is independently phone verified by Data Axle. And you can be reassured that the information is being updated daily. I believe that they say that all the records are touched at least weekly by human hands. Reference Solutions also has a consumer lifestyle search for consumer-based demographic research, such as interests of individuals, income, whether they have children in the home, if they're interested in pets, if they have a mortgage, and so much more. So you can investigate new consumer markets as well. It's a very powerful tool and it's free. Although Don, I kind of always steal what he says, but your tax dollars have actually already paid for it. So it's not quite free, it is prepaid. And if you're not taking advantage, then you're missing out on something that might be very beneficial. And I always like to say as well, if you're not using it, your competitors might be. So you might want to just contact your local library, see if they can give you a quick overview, show you how to use it, and then it might have some really great information to help you make decisions about what you're going to do next. And if you have any trouble at all, like I said, my contact information is at the end. You can reach out to me. So on the next slide, I'm going to just show you a great website if you are interested in programs like this that are free, that might cover topics of interest to you or your business. So as I said earlier, if you visit your local library website, you will find out about hyperlocal and specific things that they offer, including events and webinars. However, another way to find out what is happening is through this website, Libs2Be. So this website was created by librarians to pull together a calendar of webinars for business owners in one place. You can also find library events there that cover topics of interest to businesses, job seekers, and entrepreneurs. And lastly, on the next slide, I'd like to highlight that libraries are great connectors in their communities with partnerships that benefit their local business communities. These are some of the organizations and entities that I have worked with and that have developed partnerships with local public libraries as well. Libraries are in the business of helping, and we recognize that sometimes the best pieces of information is a referral to someone else who can help. So you may see events, seminars, or coaching opportunities in your local library that will connect you to these groups. And that ensures that anyone coming into the library is being introduced to the vast array of support available to businesses in New Jersey. And community partnerships can also include ways that your business can partner with the library. These opportunities can help you, by showing that you are supporting the library. That might also raise your visibility. Certainly nothing like sales pitches or things like that in the library, but there might be other ways that you can help to support the mission of the library and also, to raise your visibility as well. So if you're interested in anything like that, I always recommend just contacting your local library director or your local library board and seeing if there might be opportunities for you to collaborate. And on the next slide is my contact information. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need help. I'm happy to connect you with your local library or someone that can answer your specific questions. And thank you so much for this time and the opportunity to talk about my favorite topic, New Jersey libraries. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to do a quick shout out that the very first of these webinars that we did was for nonprofits. And a colleague of Andrea, Lee Clark, did a presentation on the services that are available to nonprofits through the state library. So if there are any nonprofits on the line or people that are involved with nonprofits, I would recommend going back and rewatching that webinar or watching that webinar. It'll be, there's some great information available there. And again, also from the library. Our next speaker is Jeff Bueller. Jeff is with the Neighborhood Preservation Program with the state's division of, Department of Community Affairs. And that includes a $6.2 million pandemic response grant and some technical assistance programs. They work with specific neighborhoods throughout the state, both not only urban, suburban, and rural settings um, that primarily are going to be low-income neighborhoods. But they can provide technical assistance, training, grants to municipalities, local officials to help them enhance their organizations and improve their private sector stakeholders in running a business and owning property and so on. Jeff is a specialist in the asset-based change and placemaking, as well as small business support to help them strive and thrive in a challenging and ever-changing environment. He's also a board member of the Downtown New Jersey. And Downtown New Jersey is a great organization that does great training sessions. I've been to several of them. Highly recommend that organization especially to your economic development teams and your municipal teams. He's a former councilman, works with nonprofit organizations, is a resident of Frenchtown, New Jersey, very active in his community. And I think you'll find him a very informative speaker. I've heard Jeff speak many times. So Jeff, please join us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see, I should be showing up on video here shortly. First of all, good afternoon. I recognize this is folks' lunch hour in many cases, so I'm going to try to keep this going at a pretty quick clip so that you can get back to focusing on nourishing yourselves and moving on with your day this beautiful afternoon. Yeah, the first slide that was up was just a shot of a couple of our business grantees from our neighborhood preservation program COVID relief fund. There it is, COVID relief fund program, $6.2 million fund that we ran between October and January, October of last year through the end of January of this year. Those are businesses in Pleasantville, Phillipsburg, and New Brunswick that received grants, PPE, among other things, through our neighborhood preservation program. That was a special program that didn't exist pre-COVID. Obviously, it's the COVID relief fund, and that's something that we were asked to manage. And I think we knocked it out of the park with 19 communities around the state. But yes, as was mentioned, we're a place-based program. That means we have specific districts with boundaries in 20 communities around the state currently. And we are actually going to be expanding. I'll get to that in a second. So just as we go to the next slide, which was actually the first slide that you saw, I just like to recognize for a fact that many of you are small business owners, and the environment sucks. It's hard, between Amazon and online competitors and the pandemic, obviously, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a tough time to be a small business, and it has been a tough time pre-pandemic, and pandemic it really exacerbated that. In many of our districts and communities around New Jersey where we work, directly or indirectly, up to 50% of the businesses small mom and pop businesses have closed during this pandemic era, and many of which are simply just not returning. So we just want to put that out so that we recognize the pain that you're feeling as small business owners, and at least in the MPP districts, we try to do our part to mitigate that pain. So on the next slide, here's an endorsement, product placement endorsement for neighborhood preservation program. More recently, the governor highlights neighborhood preservation program successes in his COVID briefings, maybe once a week or once every other week or so. This during his one of his last two COVID briefings that he held, where he talked about MVP, he referred to it as a very cool model. More recently, when he discussed our program program work up in Garfield and Bergen County, he referred to it as a home run. So given that it's baseball season, I assume that's a good thing. And so I would like to think that if the governor's calling it these things, then we're doing something right, and our local programs are doing something right, and we're helping businesses in a good way locally. So on the next slide, we're going to take a look at this is part of our homepage on the web, and the link is up top, which you can get from, I guess, the handouts or whatever that the Business Action Center is going to give you. It's got the map, interactive map, where you can check out where our programs are. It doesn't show them on the district level, but it does show you the municipalities. And then it talks about the core of our program, which is increasing and enhancing community value. So we work to enhance place value, which is sort of the physical realm in the communities. Economic value, obviously, that's where we're focused on today, small businesses and overall property values and development, dealing with vacancies, business recruitment, business retention. Social value, which includes marketing, and in a post-COVID world, hopefully events and activities. And then civic value, which is sort of that community engagement and small p political buy-in to that district wherever we're working. And so on the next slide, again, we're sort of doing the crash course here. So where is MPP today? Here's the list of communities ranging from Burlington down to Woodbury. So you can see some smaller cities and communities and some larger ones, some sort of townships and boroughs, and then actual cities like New Brunswick and Passaic and Perth Amboy and so forth. We're all over the state, literally from corner to corner, pretty much. And as I mentioned before, and I'll highlight this now, thanks to that support of the governor and the lieutenant governor, who's technically my boss at the Department of Community Affairs, the program is expected to expand, at least doubling to 40 communities and therefore 40 districts around the state. So we believe our geographical footprint is going to expand massively in the next month or 3 months or so, and possibly even beyond those 20. So we may be adding more than 20 communities and more than doubling our stable of communities. So even if you're not in one of these communities now, and I know there's some folks from Mount Holly and some other places that are on today, you may very well end up in an NPP district moving forward if you're not on this list. And thanks, Don, for putting that out. Next slide, we'll talk about, so the NPP CRF program. So we ran 19 we ran 19 grants through. Sorry for any background noise. Kids are coming home from school. So we out of our 20 municipalities, 19 participated with COVID relief funds. We gave out, as you can see, well over 600 small business grants to 450 small businesses, totaling around $5.3 million. And we also did 56 district improvement projects. And you can, if you go to that link, which again, subsequent to this webinar, you can see that link. If you go to that link, that will actually show you all the details of all these projects that had to do with outdoor dining and heaters for restaurants and PPE for customers as well as businesses. And you can get under the hood for all of that. And on the next slide, I think we show a couple of examples of that. So for example, Keyport gave out PPE kits and blankets, because again, this was in the winter and preceding the winter, blankets for outdoor dining, and they made it Keyport NPP, wear masks, stay safe cookies. Millville's Center City District created these gift cards, which doubled the money of the purchaser for local businesses. South Woodbury District had an e-gift card program, also doubling the money of gift card purchases that were exclusively used in local businesses, and so forth. Perth Amboy created an awesome Perth Amboy Eats website. Hamilton created their Chill Out Hamilton program using New Jersey tourism grant dollars for marketing, but the heaters for all of their restaurants were purchased through our NPP funding, and we had other PPE kits in Elizabeth and in their Columbian district and so forth. So these are just some examples of those district projects. And on the next slide, we'll talk about NPP for businesses in general. So again, there's 20 districts right now, hopefully to be 40 or more coming in the next couple of months. Our funds and technical assistance and training, which is very robust, that goes to our communities, provides district-wide marketing and enhancements. Not for specific businesses, but for district-wide marketing, again, in these typically downtown districts. District-wide gift card and e-gift card program support, like we talked about subsidizing those. Storefront facade and improvement grants for business and property owners. Visual merchandising and innovation micro grants for enhancing both the back office and the front public facing side of businesses. And then ongoing business training and technical assistance, partnering with some of the folks that were mentioned earlier, like SCORE, Service Corps of Retired Executives, as well as other entities, in addition to private consultants who specialize in a variety of things. Down below on that slide, there's a link, and I know Steve Stegman from BEC asked me to include this specifically to a workshop I did for downtown New Jersey on post-pandemic preparedness. Just be forewarned, that workshop's 45 minutes long, so don't do it if you have to drive or otherwise stay awake. But that will get you up to speed on four main principles that I teach about not only being ready for the post-pandemic, but also just frankly running a good downtown effectively, and also running small businesses in the 21st century effectively as well. So it's a mix of information for downtowns as well as small businesses. And on the next slide, I think we're just going to wrap up. Oh yeah, so well, one things I want to point out is regular MPP, so not COVID response MPP, which is separate, does a lot of placemaking, and this is just really a beautiful project that was done down in Pleasantville. One of these great murals that they did to brighten up the community and attract people to that downtown district in the Main Street area of Pleasantville that we work with. So that's just one of the many examples we do. And with that, I'll wrap up and we'll hopefully move on.
Thank you very much, Jeff. So before we move on, well, we have one more speaker left, so let's just jump into it, except that I did want to mention that I did post in the chat a link to the previous webinars that we've done, and you'll see that at the end as well. So because I know people have asked that for that in the chat. So our final speaker today is Teresa. I practiced this and I'm now going to mess it up. Mizuraka. She is from the Cyber Threat Intelligence Unit in the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. They're primarily responsible for creating and publishing high quality intelligence and analysis products and reports, providing awareness and education on the cyber threat landscape and cybersecurity best practices, and providing incident response support. Local news, if you watch the local news, you can immediately understand how cybersecurity is a hot topic and an important topic right now. So with that, I will turn it over to Teresa.
Okay, thank you, Don. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Teresa Mizuraka. I'm one of the analysts at the NJKIC, which is the New Jersey Cybersecurity and Communications Integration Cell. And again, one of my primary responsibilities is creating and publishing intel and analysis products and reports. And I'm also responsible for spreading cybersecurity awareness throughout the state, just like today. But enough about me. Let's talk about the NJKIC and what we have to offer. Next slide, please. So for those of you who are not familiar with the NJKIC, we are the state's one-stop shop for cybersecurity information sharing, threat analysis, and incident reporting. And keep in mind that cybersecurity is a collective responsibility. And our goal here at the NJKIC is to promote shared and real-time awareness of cyber threats to New Jersey citizens, local governments, businesses, and critical infrastructure owners and operators. The NJKIC was established in 2015 with a mission to bridge the information sharing gaps between local, state, federal, public, and private sector organizations to reduce our members' cyber risk and increase their ability to effectively respond to emergent incidents. The NJKIC is a central hub for cyber threat intelligence, and we provide free resources to members across all of the critical infrastructure sectors, as well as all levels of government and law enforcement. The NJKIC is responsible for these programs of work and consists of two bureaus. The Security, Engineering, and Operations Bureau is staffed by analysts and technicians from New Jersey's Office of Information Technology and the Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. They are primarily responsible for defending state networks and systems against cyber attacks. The Governance, Risk, and Compliance Bureau consists of intelligence analysts from the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness, and they are tasked with correlating technical and non-technical sources to provide actionable cyber threat intelligence to New Jersey citizens, law enforcement, and our private industry partners. Our GRC Bureau also includes our cyber liaison officers from the New Jersey State Police and the Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. And they are primarily responsible for the NJKIC's outreach efforts, coordinating cybersecurity trainings, conducting risk assessments across state government, and assisting with product development and dissemination. Next slide, please. So we are a resource for New Jersey. We offer many services, and I'm going to discuss each of these services in detail. Next slide, please. There are many resources available on our website at cyber.nj.gov. Again, it's cyber.nj.gov, and I'll have this information available again on that last slide. You can sign up for membership at no cost to receive alerts and advisories, our weekly bulletin, which comes out every Thursday, and other cyber information. And in our weekly bulletin, we highlight threats and malicious activity directly targeting New Jersey networks in our Garden State Cyber Threat Highlight. And we also cover current threats, vulnerabilities, breaches, cyber announcements, events, and news. Next slide, please. You can also submit a presentation request through our website. So at no cost, the available presentation topics can include current state of cybercrime, ransomware prevention, cybersecurity best practices and careers, and custom presentations. Next slide, please. On our website, we offer resources for businesses and government. And I want to draw your attention to our New Jersey Statewide Information Security Manual, also known as our Cism, which you can download from our website. It's over 300 pages and includes a set of policies, standards, procedures, and guidelines. It sets a clear direction for information security. And it also provides effective management of risk and ensures the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information and information systems. It has been derived from state and federal laws, industry best practices, and lessons learned, along with New Jersey state government business and technology-related considerations. Next slide, please. Also on our website, we offer cybersecurity best practices and cybersecurity guides. And as ransomware continues to be prevalent, one of our popular guides is the ransomware risk mitigation strategies, which helps to reduce your risk of ransomware. And this includes data protection, management for systems, networks, and mobile devices, limiting the impact of infections, recovering from a ransomware infection, and reporting. Next slide, please. We also publish information on current threats and threat analysis reports, which is reflected in the lower left example on your screen. And under the threat profiles, we also track and update many variants of malware, such as Trojans, mobile malware, and in the lower right example on your screen, ransomware. And for each variant, we post technical information, any updates, and in the case of ransomware, any available decryption tools. Next slide, please. In the event of a cyber incident, you can report it to us by going to our website and filling out the online form. And the link is also listed here at cyber.nj.gov/report. And we're able to provide guidance or offer direction on mitigation and prevention. Next slide, please. We also offer best practices for managing risk with our NJ-KIC Cybersecurity Program Controls Assessment, which is aligned with our New Jersey Statewide Information Security Manual. And you can get an understanding of your own cybersecurity program by using this self-assessment, which can be obtained by emailing us at njkic@cyber.nj.gov. Again, it's njkic@cyber.nj.gov. And again, this information will be available on the last slide. The self-assessment covers 33 control areas and allows organizations to identify risks and establish strategies and tactics to manage them. Not everything in this self-assessment is technical in nature, and it does not need to be sent back to us. Next slide, please. So I just want to wrap up here. Again, we offer a lot of resources and services, and we are a resource for New Jersey. You can find us on the web, and don't forget to sign up for membership at no cost. You can also reach out to us by phone, email, and on social media. And that's all I have. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Teresa. We did receive a few questions that we responded to right in the chat, but if you do have questions, please feel free to go to the chat, go to the Q&A and submit them. I'm going to talk for a couple more minutes. And hopefully we'll get a few questions that we can help address here so that everyone can hear the answer. So how do you contact the Business Action Center if you needed some assistance? Well, there's several different ways. One is you can go to our website and read a lot about what we do. And on that website is the link to the webinars. And I've also provided that information in the chat, the previous webinars. You can also call us on our business helpline, 1-800-JERSEY-7. That is our helpline where we have Spanish language capabilities to answer some of your questions. We work very closely with the state innovation team on a business website called business.nj.gov. That is a site that answers many basic business questions. More importantly, though, it has information about your business responsibilities as well as opportunities for support for COVID. So if you go to business.nj.gov, you'll see a tab there for COVID. There's also a newsletter that is coming out from the innovation team and the Business Action Center and the Economic Development Authority and the other partners that give you most up-to-date business information, but again, COVID information as well. So I do highly recommend that people sign up for that newsletter. But I did mention earlier about that little icon in the page, talk about our live chat. So again, the live chat is off the business.nj.gov site. It allows you to communicate directly with the Business Action Center. From that, we also can take the conversation we're having with you, and we can transfer it to a representative in the Treasury Department. So if you have a tax question, which tax information is confidential, so we don't access it, but we can directly connect you with someone from the Treasury Department to answer those questions. We can also connect you to someone from the Economic Development Authority to talk about some of their programs within that chat environment. And next week, we will be adding the employer accounts from the Department of Labor and Workforce Development. So for an employer that has to deal with the Department of Labor for information about your unemployment rates or any other question on the records that are maintained by the Department of Labor, we can make those connections for you. Our goal is to continue to add more and more state agencies within that environment, and we will then be able to direct you without saying to you, oh, you have to call this guy or you have to call that guy or you have to reach out to them. We'll be making those connections for you right within that chat platform. And by the way, you don't have to stay on the platform. If you give us your email address when you're asked for it right up front, and your telephone number when you're asked to right up front, if you want to close that chat environment and get your answers as we respond to you, you'll get a text message or an email giving you the answer that we in that chat. You can then go back to that chat, or you can respond right in that email, and it will populate back into the chat environment for us to be able to respond if you have further questions. It's a great new way to communicate with us. I know that in the private sector, you've all been doing that probably for years with your bank and your credit card company, not years, but recently. But now the state is moving into the technology so that we can help assist you in communicating with the state government at any level. My email address is also on the bottom of this page, so you can reach out to me directly. And if you go to my, I think the last slide is the information about the other 6 webinars that we did. So we did technical assistance, financial assistance, resources for nonprofits, government procurement, COVID safety in the workplace, as well as other workforce development training. That was a unique one because we had multiple speakers, all from the Department of Labor. So that was an interesting one and slightly different than the others that we've done today. And you saw a lot less of me during that webinar. And then, of course, today's lesser known resources. And the link at the bottom of the page, and like I say, I also shared in the chat, is how you can access those webinars. So with a few minutes left, I am going to quickly jump back onto the chat and the Q&A and see if we have questions. How do we get the newsletter? Go to business.nj.gov. The first pop-up will be to sign up for the newsletter. If you close that, or you can probably exit and go back in, but you can also go to the tab that says updates and sign up there for updates. Updates are the same thing as the newsletter. So you can sign up for updates there on that site. So business.nj.gov, that's where you can go to sign up for the newsletter. Yeah, another question was, is there assistance and support to help with a small business that's working in the behavioral health and child welfare industry? Yes. Some of the COVID programs especially are available to you. That's a business, so you can still get technical assistance. So I would suggest that Ms. Harper contact me directly. Again, my email address is donald.newman@sos.nj.gov, and I will be happy to discuss with you some of those resources that are available to you. I'm going to just switch over to the chat now and see if there's any other questions. I see a few old friends that have joined us on the chat. Small Business Development Center representatives are on the chat. Bear with me while I read through these. So someone's asking about certifications for minority and women-owned businesses. We don't have set-asides in the state for women and minority-owned businesses because of a lawsuit. We do have SBEs and service disabled veteran-owned businesses, but some of the counties do. So if you are interested in government procurement, I strongly recommend that you reach out to me and we can talk about how you can get those certifications and then leverage that to get into government procurement. And again, we have a whole webinar on that as well. So I would, suggest that you take a look at that. And June 1st, the state of New Jersey has starting June 1st, have waived all the fees for getting certified as an SBE, WBE, MBE, veteran-owned business or service disabled veteran-owned business. So if you're interested in those certifications, wait a few more weeks and there will be no more fee associated. It used to be $100 fee. So there's some opportunities there for you to get those certifications. And again, watch our webinar on procurement to learn more about that. Okay. I'm trying to see, there was another question about Schedule Cs, and I'm trying to figure that out. Help with my Schedule C. Reach out to me. I'm assuming you're talking about your tax return, Schedule C on your tax return. State taxes we can help you with. IRS, I'm probably going to refer you to a consultant to help you with. But again, reach out to me and I will put you in contact with an appropriate resource that can help you with taking care of your financial obligations with a business. Primarily, I'm going to probably be sending you to the small business development centers. They can assist you in learning about what your tax obligations are and filling out some of the documentation. We may tell you that you should probably talk to an accountant for professional advice, but there are some opportunities there. There's a lot of resources that are out there, and that's really the point here on all of these webinars as well as today. So there's a lot of resources out there. That's my job, is to make those connections for you and make sure that you get an opportunity to overcome your challenges. You face a challenge, let's figure out a way for you to overcome those challenges. And that's the purpose of what we do. Yeah, there's some information, some others that are asking about how to properly register a nonprofit. Again, watch the nonprofit webinar. There's some good information there. And I am trying to just scan through these before we end it because we are 1 minute over. So I'm just going to close out by saying to you, reach out to me, reach out to the other panelists if you have questions. Somebody, I'm going to see one more question I'm going to respond to, and that is, I missed out on the phase 4 grant that the EDA was offering. More money was put into that pot on Monday. So keep an eye on business.nj.gov/COVID. Watch that site, sign up for the newsletter, because we are going to be doing another round of pre-registration. You had to pre-register and then you had to fill out an application. So if you didn't fill out the pre-registration, you couldn't do the application. Because of the new money that was put into that program, there is going to be another round of pre-registration available to you, so that you haven't missed out yet. So for the person in the Q&A that asked about missing out on that program, you haven't missed it yet. There's going to be another opportunity for you. So you want to stay on top of that. It's always important to stay on top of the information, because that's, and the best way to do that is through business.nj.gov, signing up for the newsletter, monitoring that site, and asking us on the chat when you have any questions. So I'm going to just look one more time to see if there's anything we haven't addressed, and no, I don't think so. All right, so thank you very much for my panelists. That you know, as usual, you've all done a great job. I also like to thank Bill Spear, who is our person working behind the scenes here, running this, and also Steve Stegman from my office, who helps organize these. Without the two of them, you know, I'm the guy up front, I'm the guy on camera, but without the two of them, these webinars could never be completed. So thank you very much. Thank you for attending, and enjoy the rest of your day.